Let's talk about bats. Bats are kind of weird. They have different rules than most everything else that is in this game. They can only spawn on naturally occurring blocks that you might find in caves like andesite, stone, deep slate, and granite, stuff like that. And something that's really interesting is they can spawn on light levels 3 or lower. So they can spawn right there. A bat can spawn there. And in order for a bat to spawn, they actually need at least 1.5 blocks. Let's see, does it show? Yeah, they need 1.5 blocks of space to spawn. So let's try and manipulate this. These are some blocks that give off a low enough light level that bats could actually spawn. This is a large amethyst bud, which gives off a light level of 4, but then everything around it, 3, 2, 1, creates this large area where nothing but bats would be able to spawn. Magma blocks give off light level 3, 1 candle, and a single charge to respawn anchor give off a light level of 3. Oh, it's this. The small or medium amethyst bud gives off a light level of 2, and things like the small amethyst bud or mushrooms give off a light level of 1. I don't know if things can spawn on the block that an amethyst bud is on, but I know they can with this. So if you wanted, you could get things like mushrooms into a small space like this, and this would technically all be able to spawn bats. And I've had this little space set up, which you don't really need mushrooms for, because I have it 2 blocks tall, magma blocks in the ceiling, and that gives off enough of a light level to actually spawn these guys. If you look here, block light level 1. So all of this is spawn proof for regular mobs, but these guys will spawn. And I put these trap doors because these bats will latch on to magma blocks or anything, and it can be hard to manipulate them to move where you want them to move. Trap doors will keep them from latching to the ceiling, and you could do some sort of piston door setup. Open this so that sunlight doesn't come in while they're spawning. I don't know, do what you want, I don't care. Now there is something really weird that I found with bats. Obviously they're kind of hard to manipulate to go where you want them to go. They just unlatch when you get nearby, but they don't actually like run away from you. They just sort of fly around. But the annoying thing is if you put bats in a water column, they don't really care. They have a hard time swimming downward. So if they do get inside of a water column, they will eventually make their way up. So a setup like this with a small little tower or exit place will eventually start to trickle a bat every now and again. But that's entirely dependent on the bats flying into the water stream. So stacking them like this is definitely not the way to go. You'd probably want them to be more flat horizontal spawning platforms. So this design wasn't the greatest success. I did come up with this, which, oh look, a bat spawned. Has the stone, has the place for bats to spawn, and it has a bit of a flying machine so that as bats spawn, they'll be pushed over and shoved into these water columns. And like I said, it is perfect to stack these on top of each other. But let's give an example of how this thing would work. Totally natural spawning of bats in this space. I'm not impatient at all. They will all be pushed perfectly without any issue, none left behind, and shoved into the water column with 0 losses. And the bats will start just trickling out and creating that atmosphere for a base that you so desperately need. Right? It's all about atmosphere. Make the base feel alive, something like that. Now, is this machine flawless and perfect without any issues? Yes. Yes, it is. So I was just exploring a map that a buddy of mine was on. And I noticed this base here created by a YouTuber named iJevin, which I thought, this base looks like a place that you could find a bat or two. And so what I did is I set up a little daylight sensor that goes underground. So this is an example of how we can utilize that build that I created, that machine, where throughout the day, as you're building, doing your thing, bats can spawn inside of here, inside all of these tunnels. And then if the time it goes nighttime, that's so well worded, then the machines will start going back and forth without any issues. They will push bats into these water streams. And throughout the day, they will start to push bats into the water streams, out into the actual base itself, providing just a little bit of atmosphere, a little bit of ambiance. There's a lot of things you can do to get bats to spawn in your world. Say you have like a tower, you can do that magma block sort of setup, maybe put some banners in front of it, and just throughout the day, a bat will trickle out every now and again. I could convert this roof to have a peak inside of here where you could then create a spawn flat platform and bats will just sort of, again, trickle out. On my single player world, I've been trying to do lots of little things to kind of give the base more life. I have these tunnels here, there's water down there full of turtles and axolotls. I think there's a dolphin, or at least was, probably died. Cats. And then I have like villagers who are able to roam free, some who look like they can roam free that actually can't, that are like traders and stuff. I think adding atmosphere can, whoa, I'm zooming in slowly, can really add to the overall feeling of a base. I love a base that feels alive. And this is still very much a work in progress, but this little placeholder, I decided to just put like a little test. So an example like this is a small spawning platform, but it works. You can add some banners in front of this. When you create a nice looking tower, say like you could put all this blue spots, you could have as an open banner, blue banners, and then have spawn areas inside of them so that throughout the day, throughout whenever, you can just occasionally have bats trickle out and provide that atmosphere. You guys are great atmosphere too. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for coming. So is this video useful? Probably not. Is it fun to make? Not really. Is it something I did? Yeah. I think I will do a mini series, just testing out posting again. A mini series where I'll give some tips and tricks or advice on how you can make your base feel more alive. You can give me advice and help me so that I can actually know what I'm doing and sound like I'm actually smart. I think that's pretty much going to do it for this. My wife and I are going to start posting weekly, kind of trading off weeks, just to see what it feels like, kind of do it for ourselves, and if we end up enjoying it, maybe we'll get more than a viewer a video. So I look forward to seeing what my wife will do next week. And you and I, yes, you and the viewer watching, the one viewer, we can look forward to that. In fact, the one viewer is probably you, my wife. And I'm excited to see what you do next week. Just remember, have fun. We can do whatever we want. Just like a little casual playthrough, play a different game. We could play hopscotch. It doesn't matter.